This is the U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
Not them specifically. All right, we have to find out where he's
the governor of
talking about
Texas.
Oh, thank you, Tim. Right off the bat.
No. He does like a little intro segment.
Oh, well, it'll be the top story, right?
Has issued a statement with a formal letter that the president of the United States has violated his oath of office, and they are actively committing crimes. For this, Texas has declared its right to self-defense of its border, declaring supremacy over the jurisdiction. They're saying that Texas's right to self-defense supersedes federal orders. Oh, boy.
Guess what?
There are now many prominent leftists calling for a...
What?
You might have an argument if it was before 9/11, but the Patriot Act exists now.
True.
There is no way that you can claim that George Bush didn't fucking give authority to the federal government over the borders after the Patriot Act.
Oh, for sure. I mean, isn't the TSA just that?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's just Customs and Borders Protection. The TSA is an expansion there.
Yeah.
In fact, one Democrat has once again asserted the federal government should seize the Texas National Guard. Oh,
can we provide context to actually what's happening in Texas? All right. It's not like they're doing this to the entire border where they took over the entire border, because the Texas National Guard doesn't have the resources to do that. It's one park, right? It's one park that's a popular migrant crossing, and they've put up barbed wire there, and so and deployed. And all that the Border Patrol has said is that they can't access a boat ramp that they need, and the barbed wire isn't hindering their job. They have not said that the people working there cannot technically be there. Just that these two specific things are interfering with their ability to patrol the river.
Yes.
That's it.
It's really not that complex.
One ramp, one boat ramp is what this is over now.
You know, when we talk about the hyperpolarization in this country and what it could bubble up into, we are now looking at the rather rare and shocking circumstance of the state National Guard of Texas armed in opposition to federal agents. Where this one goes. Well, we've been talking about this one quite a bit, so we're going to talk about that quite a bit more. And there is a bunch of other news. They're trying to stop Donald Trump.
Don't care.
They would legitimately have a civil war at hands because Texas would not
go back further.
I imagine that there will be a war. According to the federal government, the Civil War.
To try and seize control of the National Guard or deploy federal agents to Texas to try and stop them. I want the whole
Tim Pool idiocy on this
or lighter face. Oh, bring up Chicago. Federal law and state law is chaos. The actions being taken means Greg basically saying like, okay,
this is the article he's going to start his dumb take on.
Well, they're doing nothing. Let's pull this story from the Hill, ladies and gentlemen. The escalation is here. Texas Democrat calls on Biden to seize control of Texas National Guard. Rep. Joaquin Castro is calling on President Biden to take control of the Texas National Guard if the state defies a Supreme Court ruling, which it did. Governor Greg Abbott is using the Texas National Guard to obstruct and create chaos at the border. If Abbott is defying yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, POTUS needs to establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard now. He can't, by the way. It doesn't work that way. The governor has to sign off on federalization, basically saying like, okay, through me.
Look, buddy, it's the federal fucking government. If they want to fucking do it, they'll fucking do it. Are you fucking dumb?
I don't know. Trump was shackled with half the shit he wanted to do.
We're the United States of America, for God's sake.
That's a good point, Joe.
You can give orders and we can unify. In this instance, I don't want to tell you guys. You have these people. Let me show you this tweet.
Civil War.
This is Janai Nelson, President and Direct Counsel of LDF NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, saying, this is outright defiance of a Supreme Court order by a Southern governor who thinks he is above the law.
You like how
if federalism means anything, it means Greg Abbott must be held to account. Let me make clear.
Southern.
They did that on purpose.
Dig or
Yeah,
something.
100%.
Sure.
And let me make clear. What we are seeing now is Greg Abbott enforcing the law to the best of his abilities. Joaquin Castro and Democrats are lying about what's going on, saying it's chaos.
Yeah, well, he said that Greg Abbott is causing the chaos. It is chaos at the border.
They're saying
they're trying to stem the chaos.
The actions being taken to uphold federal law and state law is chaos. The Biden administration and Democrats are actively destroying this country. And I got to be honest.
Who caused those migrants to drown? Oh, that was Texas. Who's created the environments to endanger these migrants crossing these borders?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Texas. Oh, so it wasn't the Democrats. It was the Republicans. It was Texas. Interesting.
Guys, like, I don't know. I can't mince words on this one. They are quite literally destroying the country. This is not, I don't even, how do I say this? They are engaged in a seditious conspiracy to subvert the Constitution and destroy the fabric of this country. That's not hyperbole. When Ian brings up his parents who are not super.
Hold on. Let me do something real quick. Hyperbole. Define. Exaggerated statements or claim not meant to be taken literally.
Well, he wants you to take him literally because he believes.
Yeah. So sure. What?
It's not hyperbole. I'm just that stupid, guys.
Yeah. That's literally it.
Politically engaged and watch MSNBC saying this is getting crazy. When I bring up Chicago and New York, because when you have major Democrat strongholds in panic over the crisis that is happening right now,
panic.
And the Biden administration, with a smile on his face, says,
I guarantee everybody in New York and Chicago gives all the fucks about the migrant border. All the fucks constantly in their mind.
The border is not secure. And then tries to damage it further. There is no question we are watching a man or lighter fluid on the fabric of this nation and set it aflame while we all scream.
Oh my God.
The outcome here, if the feds do make a move to try and seize control of the National Guard or deploy federal agents to Texas to try and stop them, guys, what do you call it when armed forces under state jurisdiction engage in active conflict with federal forces?
What is it, Tim? Tell us.
Call it whatever you want.
Tell us, Tim.
I don't know if the president, I mean, he's the commander in chief of the armed forces. I don't know if the National Guard of Texas would, the Guard of Texas would.
Want to know what it would be called?
Captain Meathead is going to.
You know what I think it would be called? I think the Texas National Guard would be doing insurrection.
Yes, that would be the appropriate term for it. You are correct. Let me just look this guy up because I am curious.
Who, the guy on Tim Pool?
Yeah.
What's his name?
That is the woman.
Yeah, look at her, how she spells her name.
Yeah.
Morgan.
She's a TP USA contributor. Boy. You can imagine.
The guy is just a regular Tim guy, I guess.
Must be.
He doesn't get it.
So I guess she's the guy.
Well, I mean, the feds can call them up. They called them up and sent them overseas.
It's a question of where are these guardsmen from? Right. Are they residents of Texas who enlisted in Texas?
Oh my God!
I'd imagine they'd have to be, right?
Yeah, but even still, that like you don't go to the same. You still go to like Army, wherever the Army does their basic training.
That doesn't mean anything.
Oh my God!
In 1861, you had West Point graduates trained in New York saying, "My home is Virginia," and they said, "I will." And that's famous generals. I will stand with my state.
But
maybe don't.
So, I mean,
don't talk about that Civil War to make arguments because
not the best source.
I'm in Spain without the S.
Do you think the 19-year-old guy whose mom lives in Austin is going to be like, nah,
standing up as tall as he can on his feet? Looking to see if he can jump over this shit, and it looks so funny because they're so fluffy, but when they stand up on their feet, it's just these two little sticks that stick out because it's their like extended foot, and there's no fur on it.
I'm gonna go to war with my neighbors and friends.
I have no idea what what a kid's gonna do. Because there are people like I would have said something different before.
You have
January
no idea what a kid's gonna do. First of all, the Homeland is not going to challenge the National Guard.
No,
with arms. So here's what's going to happen. Homeland's going to walk up. The National Guard's going to say, our orders are to tell you no, right? The National Guard is going to say, okay. They're then going to file more stuff with the court.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyone who thinks that they're going to come up and, like, being like, we're going to kill you if you don't move. Because did the Supreme Court authorize them to shoot on sight? Or did it authorize that it was just saying that the other guys maintaining the park are wrong?
Yeah.
It's like, so you know the Seattle Autonomous Zone, right? That they made? So imagine the Supreme Court ruling that was illegal.
Yeah.
And then the police went up to them, right? And would they just open fire on them because the Supreme Court ruled that was an illegal thing? I don't think so.
Sure, why not?
I think it would continue with the state negotiating with them.
Yeah. But why not, Jim? Lock it. I mean, really? Who gives a shit? At the end of the day, I used the same thing, but I fucking lost it. And now I don't know where it is.
It's like, we're the United States of America, for God's sake.
Exactly, Joe. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
It just goes to show, the states have a lot of power here.
No, they do, and they should. They should. Ultimately, they should. But when it comes to people's lives and a state negligently and purposefully endangering them, pretty sure the feds, it's time for the federal
I want to
government
know how much of like the Fox News reporting. Well, we looked at some of it. They misled, saying they already had drowned.
Yeah.
So like they're not even being honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like even if they were honest about it, would people even care that a mother and 2 children died?
I don't think people would care. No, I really don't.
With troops for no reason.
The question is, are these guardsmen from Texas and connected through community to Texas?
Oh my God.
If the answer is yes, there is no question.
What
if
are you
the feds make a
talking about?
move against Texas and try to seize control of the guard, on average, people will always just defend their friends and their families.
Yeah.
My God.
You're talking about
Tim, you are
people
so
are likely
stupid.
to do. I'm wondering.
You are so stupid. You are so fucking dumb, right? There is a fucking chain of command, and if the chain of command for those National Guardmen tells them not to do something, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Because that's how the chain of command works. It has nothing to do with the individual guards picking sides. You fucking moron. I need to go stop a chinchilla from eating drywall.
Apparently, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm reading this from findlaw.com that Title 32 gives governors the authority over the guard in their states, but then they say that Title 10 says the president can mobilize the guard and put it under federal authority.
Yes, but under what circumstances? My understanding is the governor has to sign off on it.
If that's the case, then if the governor has to say yes, then that's the case.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, I don't know for sure.
Extreme circumstances would supersede any previous ruling. If the Texas National Guard is literally facilitating the deaths of migrants, I'm pretty sure that's means to supersede whatever the fuck has come before. Also, that Francesca Albanese chick that we saw on that Q&A episode?
Mm-hmm.
I hear people referencing her all the time. All the time. So she must be pretty fucking big in that scene.
We should email her.
We should.
Well, I mean, I think realistically, the reason this country is still alive is because states are preeminent. The federal government's an afterthought. Like, we are United States. We unite by choice.
The Civil War completely changed all of that.
Yeah, it did.
What you're talking about is the way that the states thought of themselves prior to the Civil War, when the states still thought that they could secede.
Yeah.
Like they used to think
still
before,
can.
like Texas in their constitution, before they joined in their constitution, I believe it says we're reserving the right to leave because Texas used to be its own country. So I think
Texas could secede theoretically.
So allegedly, I don't know that the federal government would allow it. The feds might still say, no, we settled this with the Civil War. According to the federal government, the Civil War settled the question as to whether or not countries can secede. So,
and no, actually, Ulysses S. Grant wrote up exactly why they cannot, and I believe he's correct. So there are certainly he's mostly correct. He wrote this great letter, and he said, basically,
tell us why, Tim.
The states of the Union sacrificed blood and treasure to admit
blood and treasure.
That
sounds pretty
and they owe a debt to declare that they would separate.
Is literally our blood and soil line.
Yeah. Like, man, what a quote to pick. Goddamn. Just went straight for the fash. Very cool.
While in that is, I'm paraphrasing, but you can read the whole letter. Basically, his point is, yo, homie, I paid a bunch of money for you to come and join this crew. You can't just bow out now. You owe us. And that makes sense.
Is that it? I mean,
something to that effect is the argument being made.
Yeah,
and so
does that mean in perpetuity?
Well, that's a good point. That's why I say mostly correct. Mostly correct being so long as you are in a debt, pay that debt back and we'll negotiate however that is. But I do believe that ultimately it doesn't matter. Crazy. Because Ulysses Grant also wrote,
also
you have the right to secede.
This is what I was going to say when I was wrangling the chinchilla just now. They didn't have the right to secede back then either. That's why the Union immediately went to war with them.
Yeah.
Right. So Texas could totally pursue a generalized autonomy, though, if they really wanted to.
Yeah,
but
there's no reason that they couldn't.
What does Texas get from a more generalized autonomy? They already have it. Their power lines are independent.
Yeah, they're basically
they can determine their own taxes already.
There's no reason that they wouldn't be able to do so.
But no,
blood dough.
If there is a debt to be paid,
I was like, what is this comment saying? It's like, oh, blood dough for the bundle of sticks.
War, and if you lose, you'll be ruled by by the victors.
Yeah.
So his point is basically
not necessarily.
At any point, any person, any state could declare they will no longer be part of the Union, but be prepared to fight. And if you lose, you are now under our rule.
I imagine that there would.
Nobody is seceding through firefights in the global north anytime in the near future. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Be
it's so funny, but as somebody who is really interested in whenever there's updates on autonomous movements, it's always the story I'm covering on Let Them Eat Cake, right? To be so far behind because you're too racist to look outside your country to know about these autonomous movements and how even the UN is worried about it because the UN isn't designed for these things to happen.
Texas were to say, well, we're going to just kick federal troops out.
I think it wouldn't be like leaving the Union. It would be like, obviously Florida and Texas are unified. So if there was a union, what's the union? How many unions?
What are you talking about?
Who is united? Exactly. Is it 49 of the states decide to unify?
Why is he talking about Florida suddenly?
This guy he scrambled his brain somehow where to the point that his train of thought is this thing, and instead of going straight the way he should, he goes.
So did this guy replace the other guy who actually stood up to Tim Pool?
No, they were both in it, and then the other guy, I don't know why he left.
I think he started standing up to Tim Pool over something. I think it had to do with it had to do with girl drama.
He turned into some crazy Trump fash fucking nutbag.
Okay, is this Moon Lord or Weed Lord?
Oh my god.
Is this Moon Lord or Weed Lord?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Stupid federal government that's gone too far. Then what's the union? The union is the people that are unifying. It's not on paper. It's what's really happening right now.
I've never listened to an episode where he's added something constructive. It's always just dumb, idiotic shit.
Yeah, so here it says, no, it's Weed Lord. Moon Lord is Tim Pool's new sidekick, so it is Weed Lord.
I just find it fascinating how many people scoffed at the idea of civil war. And then even after January 6th, you still get a lot of people say January 6th was not an insurrection, but these Democrats who claim it is still scoff at the idea of civil war.
Right.
Now you have I'm sorry, my friend.
Because one fascist
we quite literally,
bro. Imagine.
Take over. Sure.
No, seriously. So like, in the like general, like even G20, even further than that, like anything that's like a developed actual country, where is the civil war going to happen in any of these countries for real?
Yeah. Like that's the question. Nobody
is America the most likely one? Like, what's more likely than America for a civil war to happen? I'll tell you.
Anywhere?
Well, I mean, you could have conflict, like not a civil war, but like a conflict with the Northern Ireland situation, because there was tensions over Brexit. But even that is something that they've already moved to solve politically. Catalan, there's been like violence with mainly like protest and like other terrorist factions there, but that's not civil war. Brittany and France, that's not civil war.
Maybe the closest could be Venezuela, but
even Venezuela is too poor to qualify in this like category. Like Ukraine,
you're thinking
Ukraine, you could define that as being a civil war, like the Russia-backed separatist.
Yeah.
You could define that as a civil war, but even then it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't really think there would be a country in the global north that could fall to civil war. Unless like a string of devastating events happens. There's no chance.
Okay. Anyone know Weed Lord's real name?
Ian Crossland.
That was the old guy?
That's the dude with the hair.
Ian what?
Crossland. The lowest degree possible, but we do have armed conflict between a state National Guard and the federal government.
Is it?
Now I want to be careful here because
Tim?
I don't want.
That's what armed conflict means. Simply being armed is not armed conflict, you fucking moron.
People to assume armed conflict implies people are shooting at each other. What this means is both factions have deployed armed personnel.
They're cops, you fucking moron.
And they are in conflict with each other, meaning Texas National Guard are defying federal mandate and pushing out.
Yeah, so I guess I'm not reading
federal
too
agents
much into this, but
to take.
It has something to do with Ian not liking his contract, but that's going to be just his validation excuse for personal drama.
Ian's the one that was talking that adds nothing constructive ever.
Okay, what? Okay, so who's the other guy?
I have no idea. Are you talking about the new one? Because I have no clue.
Wait, which one is which? I'm so confused now.
Fucking hell, the guy with the hair on the show is
They both
Ian.
have hair. Weed Lord and Moon Lord both have hair.
This guy.
Yes. That's Moon Lord.
Sure.
Weed Lord is the one that was before him who looks exactly and sounds exactly like him.
Take territory.
No
the feds want that territory back. The only thing that hasn't happened is they've not decided to fight about it yet physically. But there are armed men in conflict right now trying to control certain jurisdictions. I mean, this is a powder keg.
It's certainly far more significant than January 6th was. January 6th, it was a riot that got out of hand. This is
Joe.
This guy?
No.
Biden is engaged in insurrection.
Yeah, this is
chat knows what I'm talking about.
Look. I think it is definitive at this point. Joe Biden should be removed from the ballot in as many states as he can for engaging in insurrection actively right now by subverting the Constitution and engaging in a seditious conspiracy of human smuggling in defiance of even blue states.
To make any argument that Trump engaged in insurrection and to then make the argument that Biden has not.
Are these people serious?
Completely ridiculous and unserious.
See, I don't think they're actually the federal government is actually going to go down to Texas and seize
How do these people sit in this room, talk to each other like this, then leave going, yeah, that was sick.
The other guy's name was Adam.
Yeah, he's the guy that turned into the Trump fucking bootlicker.
The National Guard, because I think they would legitimately have a civil war at hands because Texas would not they wouldn't allow that. And so why would the federal government, especially in an election year, go down there and do something? Because then the problem would get 10 times worse. And I think to your point of, Eric Adams, and 50% of the hotel rooms are taken up by illegal immigrants, and we have this huge crisis in our country. Why would he continuously make it worse? So I honestly think it's a political play just to paint Texas and Greg Abbott like the bad guys
I can
and
give you
not
an
actually
answer.
do something.
Why would they make it worse? So that Donald Trump can't win an election in November.
Oh my God.
That's true.
Yes, everything's about Donald Trump.
We were talking before the show.
Congratulations. Your political analysis
to win a civil war.
Incredibly astute. Nothing but the best from Tim Pool as per usual.
War. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm like, they would, because the win condition is not like one side climbs the top of the hill and plants a flag. The win condition for people who hate America is to destroy.
Bro, it's not a fucking RPG. Fucking turn-based combat shit.
Starting a civil war is the win condition for these people.
God.
Yeah,
so when I hear people say like national divorce, I'm like, that will be civil war. There is no circumstance where there is a peaceful separation of states. Impossible. Because of water rights, because of farming rights, because of highway access, because of weapon control, because of general natural resources. Which states have access to? I mean, come on. The North Dakota frack fields would become an economic powerhouse. And then you're going to have someone in a different state being like, I'm the one who paid for all of that. And they're going to say, no, you're going to get conflict for sure.
Win condition is Ted Cruz building a spaceship. Science victory, bitch.
No constitution anymore. In the Civil War in 1861, Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus in a corridor stretching from D.C. up to Pennsylvania. The reason being, Maryland was a slave state with massive Southern sympathies. So he had members of their legislature arrested and created a corridor where they could travel between D.C.
Abraham
and PA, so the Union could stay unified with D.C. And they would arrest anyone without charge or trial who in any way bothered them. And there was actually one guy they did. Locked him up for the duration of the war.
Who was it?
And he gave him the middle finger and said, F you. When the war ended, they let him go. And then he just said, F you. And they were like, your charges stand. He said, F you. And he left. And then that was like, they let it go.
Who was it?
You can read about the story. It was crazy.
Abraham
Lincoln, when the war started, Constitution was gone.
Yeah.
If you were speaking...
No name for this dude who apparently
Here we go.
Gave
this is the libertarian Abraham Lincoln worst president take.
Pro-Confederacy speech, you're locked up. Done. No question. If a civil war were to break out,
not true.
Let me just tell you. Do you guys think? Let me ask you a question. The Epstein client list.
Oh my God.
Let's say there's a person. We know that they're ultra wealthy individuals and powerful. They're on the client list. Which would you think they would prefer? Having their name published in the press as to being a high-profile billionaire pedophile who was working with Epstein, or civil war breaking the machine apart? What do you think these people would rather have happen?
Here's the thing. There won't be a conflict because he's talking about something that isn't going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen in the global north. Like, there's literally processes being formed in Europe for generalized autonomy. Also, inside America for generalized autonomy, we already have independent First Nations. Like, Texas could claim its entire state to be an independent First Nation. And then they would have to hand the power to like one, like
tribe,
maybe like I think Texas is even named after a Navajo word, but I'm not sure. That might be more to the west. Navajo might not even be in Texas. I know Northeast.
They don't want to be exposed. Yeah, absolutely.
They don't want accountability. They don't want to get caught. They want to keep up their operations, keep up the crimes they're committing, and they'd rather the United States burn than anyone find out what they're doing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's what they want to destabilize Western civilization as we know it, and they want to destroy the Constitution. But that's all coming from the WEF. They've been wanting to do this.
Oh my God!
Just continuously destabilize.
I did say that she was TP USA influencer. So are we really surprised?
Country as we know it, take away our freedom slowly but surely. And I mean, even now, Gen Z, they're willing to do anything to make $1, and they don't even have a care about politics.
Tell us about how OnlyFans is bad.
I haven't even heard of this nation, but the word Texas comes from it's Cato, might be Cado, CADDO, federally recognized tribe headquartered in Oklahoma now. But I knew Texas. The reason they call it the friendship state is because Tejas meant friend in these people's language.
Okay.
Amount of college kids actually that I interview asking if they even know about the border crisis or how many people are coming into our country or that their taxpayer dollars are paying for it, whether it's in San Diego, California, or Texas. So many kids have no idea because they don't watch the news. All they watch is brainwashing on TikTok, and they don't actually know the crisis is going on.
Watch out.
You know, a lot of people have made the joke that everything started to fall apart when Epstein died. And there's a meme that around the time Epstein dies,
here we go.
Breakdown of narrative control.
Did this dude? Did Tim Pool used to make arguments about Harambe? Like everything went wrong when that monkey died. Has he made those arguments too? Jesus Christ, dude.
I mean, people start losing their minds. Now, I certainly don't think that means that whatever Epstein was doing was the top of the mountain in terms of this deep state. I like the new phrase that we're getting from the Kerry Lake scenario. People back
Jack
east.
doesn't even know. I keep asking him which one is Moon Lord and which one is Wheel Lord.
By the way.
I don't know what the fuck these names mean. You just pulled them out of nowhere and expect me to know them.
I'm telling you, the guy who's here now, that's Moon Lord. The old guy was Weed Lord. Look, here's a meme. Look, I have a meme explaining everything right here. Hang on. This should clear it up, right? Oh, hang on. I'm covering it. No, that's worse. There we go. Right? That clears it up, right?
Sure.
But I'm wondering if whatever it is Epstein's involved in has scattered the cockroaches.
Dude.
And and this is why the narrative machine is breaking, because it used to be that high-profile millionaires and billionaires and politicians were all partying, and then once Epstein gets caught, they all say, every man for themselves.
Yeah. It feels like abject panic. It does feel like that,
Sure,
like the
bro.
panic
Does
that I can't see.
this dude think that Jeffrey Epstein was
happening.
the only dude who'd had parties with politicians and shit?
Probably, yeah.
Behind the scenes, because it's so quiet.
I'm so glad I never listened to this dude before. Jack used to listen to him avidly before
I mean, come on, we know powerful people on that list.
Him.
They're going to be heads of industry. They're going to be politicians. They're going to be world leaders.
It could be Bill Clinton. Like
Prince Andrew.
Before I was like, hey, Jack, have you ever thought about using your brain
a bunch of
and
times, probably got
actually thinking
massages.
thought through before? And then he realized Tim Pool is a fucking idiot and I should stop watching him.
Just from 15-year-olds, God knows what else they did. I'm not know if probably is the right word, but like that, if it was Bill, if you found the Bill Clinton of all people, it's like the grossest underage sex scandal on earth, and then you're implicating like Bill, like what in the.
See, I was covering his little UFO thing in front of him before too. Obviously, this is Moon Lord. He's got the whole flying saucer in front of him and everything. That's how he flies up to his moon base. He's called Moon Lord because he constantly would keep bringing things up about mining the moon. And that's like all he was obsessed about was turning the conversation to talking about moon mining for a while.
What is that?
Bro, Prince Andrew is photographed with one of the
Prince
victims.
of England.
Yeah, well, Prince Andrew
Prince of the United Kingdom.
We know for a fact, yes, Prince Andrew, definitely it happened with him. But also, like, the other guy was, I think, what was it? David Copperfield, the magician who was on there for using underage girls. They would come to his show, right? So when he calls for volunteers from the audience, right? Those are always plants. So he was calling up these people who were sex trafficked from Jeffrey Epstein to participate in the show, and then they would do parties with them after. I think it's Copperfield.
Crazy.
I mean, this is already that.
But Clinton had only flown on the
look,
plane.
man.
He hadn't done anything like that's like implicating him in any crimes. They could have still happened.
You look at
come on, let's get some fucking evidence.
You look
here,
at
guys.
like the Emirates. You look at
Stephen Hawking.
You look at the wealth that's down there. You think these people aren't also connected? And I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying there are criminal, corrupt people with massive amounts of power, probably working with Epstein. Epstein, the whole thing's broken. Whatever machine they had running. I'm not saying it was the machine. I'm not saying it was the deep state, but too many people associated with powerful industry and government were involved in that, and they're scattering like cockroaches. The light got turned on, and they rushed to the corners of the room.
It's almost like they don't want to be associated with Jeffrey Epstein, even if they like had a business dinner with him.
Insane, right?
I wonder why. Yeah, these people are named Donald Trump.
It's odd.
I mean, I feel like the Epstein was an intel asset, and so I mean that's kind of what would happen that's what you would expect to happen.
Bro, he was literally Mossad.
You know, if he actually did have information on powerful people and stuff like that, and they were using it as state secrets to get compliance or whatever, they're gonna try to squash the list. That intel agencies don't want anyone to know about what they're doing ever. Like that's just everything is as secret as they can get.
I was picturing Tim. You were talking about Epstein getting off the plane with like some dude. I'll keep using Bill Clinton or whoever it was, some random guy, and he's like, "You like her a lot, man? Yeah, she really likes you. She's 15, bro. We got you." And then like Epstein just seizes alpha control of Bill Clinton or whoever, the emotional control. Yep. And then they're like, "What? I can't even say he's got this thing that I don't want him to have because it's like
I'm over it. No more."
You want to see a crazy mind clearing video from Myanmar and how they're clearing mines? This is, this is innovation happening in real time.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Sick, bro. So smart.
What the fuck? What happened?
I mean, the frag from the mines broke the glass. Right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a great idea until you cop a fucking piece of frag to the forehead.
That's ventilation. I mean, they're using what they got, right? Like, if you have a mine clearing suit and you're hitting it from that far away,
yeah.
I mean, there's still a lot of risk, but it's better than fucking Ukrainians whacking the butterfly mines with big stick.
Yeah.
Which
right now, the crisis in a standoff over the use of razor wire. Today, new video shows
literally that's all it's about.
Razor wire being
all it's about is razor wire blocking access to a fucking boat ramp, guys.
U.S.-Mexico border. This is happening even after the Supreme Court on Monday voted to let federal Border Patrol agents remove all of that wire. The razor wire was installed as part of Texas Governor Greg Abbott's security initiative at the border known as Operation Lone Star. The Biden administration arguing now the razor wire prevents Border Patrol agents from doing their job. In a new statement, I want to share it with you this afternoon from the governor's desk. He says he's declared an invasion and invoking the state's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself, and it supersedes any federal statutes.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?